Hey everyone, Joe Weisman here, and you're tuned into the Ill Noise Business Playbook. Big ideas, bold stories, and local impact. Let's make some noise. Hey, welcome to the Ill Noise Business Playbook. I have here Tasha O, who's a leadership coach. Tasha, how are you doing today?
I am doing good. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Wonderful. Well, we're so happy to have you here. So let's have a little fun here. Now, I actually, Neha and myself love getting out there in the community, love going to ribbon cuttings, love going to happy hours, love going to ways that we can meet people and reach people. And we're big fans of networking groups. And I think that you and I had the opportunity to meet each other in person. Is that right?
Correct. At the one group.
One network group. I know that's led by both Kat Mendez and I know Dana Kramer as well. They're both a part of that and stuff. And those two wonderful young ladies, along with Daria, who's in the group, and Tyler as well. They've been on there. So I think we're going to get everyone from that networking group on our show if we can. Well, tell us, you do some really beautiful, wonderful things. And I love to interview people that don't have traditional jobs, shall we say. I think it's wonderful to find your passion and to show that out to the world. Tell everybody what exactly you do and what inspired you to get in this avenue.
Absolutely. So I'm a holistic transformational leadership coach and counselor. And what really started with me was because I understood that leaders were silently suffering. We were trying to show up for business and trying to disconnect who we are apart from business. But the way I choose to navigate and work with leaders is to teach them that it's about living a holistic lifestyle. You are not a separate person from who you are when you show up to the boardroom as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, or as a business owner. And what I found in different rooms and having different conversations is that people were really struggling with their own humanity. Somehow we've allowed and made leaders to feel that they can't be vulnerable, that they have to show up masked for the sake of this false resilience. And so I just really saw a need for a more holistic lifestyle as it relates to leaders, not just working on the business side of things, but how are the other circles of your life, you know?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
What drew you to this just initially, though, Tasha? I mean, I must admit, this is a real beautiful thing that you're trying to do, and a really good way for people to kind of look at
Mhm.
ways to sort of reinvent themselves. So, what led you to this?
You know what? As a leadership coach, I always say the mirror is for us first.
Mm,
I had to navigate this process first. And when they say get out there and do your market research, I am my market research because I'm not just teaching or talking about this. This isn't just a trend, it's the lifestyle for me. And honestly, I've had to go through some hard knocks and bumps and falls and pivots and all the things that we go through as business owners. But guess what? At the end of the day, my family life still had to go on. My spiritual house still needed to be in order. And I just honestly feel that if you don't fit in every circle of life, there's no way I can show up 100% as a business owner and entrepreneur that I'm supposed to be walking and navigating other leaders. So I always tell people that work with me that I'm not necessarily walking ahead of you. I don't know everything, but what I do know, I can constantly building on that because I want it to be from a pure and authentic place. Like I've walked this walk. And I have this saying that I say where it's one thing to come out of the fire, but it's another thing to go back and get the people who are still burning. And so that's kind of how I look at what I do.
that's beautiful. I love that. I love that. Um, and what role has resilience played in your leadership journey?
My name should be next to it. Honestly, it's like leadership. I love traditional leadership. It has its place, but I think it falls short of, again, making room for a leader's humanity. We're expected, traditional leadership to me is more about performance and I'm more about present. I want you to be present in all circles of your life so that you can dominate in the marketplace in your areas of influence. And honestly, I've had to walk some very tragic things that happened in my life for me to actually learn that I cannot fully show up as the best version of Tasha if my inner healing and my wholeness isn't where it needs to be. There have been times in my life where life was life and I literally went through a period where I lost two of my younger brothers and just trying to be everything to everybody, still showing up, still running the business, just had a baby, all the things, but I was so broken and you can only go so far. You can only go so far. And so that's why I really believe that it's about the whole leader showing up. We have to stop making it so difficult for a leader to show up as their authentic self. And I think that honestly, that's part of traditional leadership. And I believe in an unconventional leadership approach. I'm not here to try to be the supplement for traditional leadership. I'm trying to disrupt those narratives and those cycles and those patterns that we've laid out for leaders so that they can actually thrive and not just survive and just show up half-heartedly.
You talked a lot about the fact that you've dealt with some, tragedy on your own, and
Mhm.
so sorry to hear about your brothers, by the way. So many people have these battles that are going on. But what do you feel like as a leader? What is that unseen cost of sort of dealing with that? And then how can you help them navigate through those battles so that they can be a healthy person, and more so they can run their team more effectively?
Honestly, I feel like when you don't have good soul health, and I like to call it wealth because it goes further beyond money. I believe that it can honestly make you sick. I've gone through that. We're trying to, show up and be everything, but it was actually causing me to have internal conflict. And if you don't, I always tell clients, if you don't deal with what's going on in here, it's going to come out some kind of way that we can continue looking for the best leadership strategies. Everybody wants the thing that's going to take them over the top. But guess what? I believe it's already inside of you. Like we're looking in all the external forces, but it's internally. You have to work on your inner man. And if there are things that are not processed, because as leaders, we are really good about control. We want to control everything else. We want to control our calendars, but when it comes to us and dealing with what's going on within, that's always on the back burner. And I really believe that I walk this walk. I know what it feels like to be on both sides. I know what it feels like to show up broken and still try to operate a business and be expected to thrive. I don't wish it on my worst enemy because it's honestly it's like torment. Like you have to deal with what's going on inside. And I feel like if you look at our culture today, what do you see? A lot of fall within leadership. It doesn't matter what arena it's in, because what's inside eventually is going to come out, and we're seeing a lot of things coming not so positively, and that's
Absolutely.
a lot of inner conflict going on.
How are you getting the word out about what you're doing? How do you grow? I'm sure you're working with leaders. Are you having leaders refer you to other leaders, or what's the different strategies that you have in place to continue to grow what you're doing so that you can impact so many more people?
Absolutely. So I also do leadership panels. I continue to do things like this, show up on different podcasts and interviews and things of that nature. But me personally, I love intimate workshops, corporate workshops where that I can go in and talk to leaders as a whole. And it makes for an amazing environment in your workplace because again somebody is this thing that I hear on LinkedIn all the time where people say I want to separate who I am apart from my business, and I'm just trying to figure out how do you do that because the body functions as a whole. And so I do inner healing outer wealth workshops. I also do one-on-one counseling, and I also incorporate a faith-based approach for those who would like that. And you can find all of those things on my website. Follow me on LinkedIn, and I'll also be doing a complimentary workshop a week from now.
Oh,
Hmm.
you kind of referenced that, but I know from doing some research with you that you really emphasize this concept of currency and with it being wealthy beyond money.
Yes.
So can you kind of share what that means for you, and why it's so critical for the leaders today?
Yes, because we always hear people talking about securing a bag and running after their money. Absolutely, we all need money to thrive and function in our life, even outside of in business. But wealth beyond money, I want a leader to broaden their visualization of what that looks like. Wealth beyond money is how wealthy are you spiritually? How wealthy are you mentally? How wealthy are you physically? Because this culture is teaching hustle at all expense. People are showing up half broken and sick in a lot of cases, still trying to thrive. And so it's an individual approach. Even though I have my pillars, it's an individual approach. What are the circles of life that are most important to you? And we want to look at which of those areas, rating from 1 to 10, are in alignment, and which of those areas need some love and some care. And we focus on those things. So many people think it's literally just about the business, but when I get down to the root of it, it's the wealth beyond money. And wealth is spiritual, physical, emotional, mental, and all of the things. And so I just want to expand on what we think wealth is because What good is it to have all the money if you're broken? What good is it to have all the money if your relationships are not in order? What good is
Amen.
all the money if your health is not in order? So we really need to do a better job of allowing a leader the freedom to be human.
True. I always talk to people when they talk about intellect. I
Mm,
always say that, there's so many different stratospheres of intellect, and I would much rather be emotionally intelligent
yes,
than book smart intelligent half the time, because then you can really be compassionate, empathetic, and the understanding, and really kind of like get to the root of why you should love someone else, and you
for
should love
sure,
someone else
for
because that's
sure.
the way things should be. How has we love positive stories here, and I have a feeling you're not going to let me down on this one, but can you, can you share an example of how your work has transformed a leader, not just in the role, but, in their identity and in their life?
Again, it goes back to being anchored in all of those pillars. When I sit down and I explain it the way that I'm having a conversation with you a little bit deeper, there's this aha moment that goes off for a leader, and it's almost like a relief. Like you see a leader feel more relaxed because they don't feel like they have to perform to show up. And so there have been many people that I've talked to in my workspace, and having the opportunity to navigate this space with that, like their lives have changed, incorporating a holistic lifestyle. It looks different from all of us, but if you can really work within yourself to see which of these areas that I really need to hone into, your relationships are better. Everything about our business is relationship dynamic. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what someone comes to me for. At the end of the day, there's something relational. And so when we begin to deal with those things that are hindering us, like let's just say, for instance, you run into and you have a hard time trying to delegate. That's an internal conflict because there's some type of control issue that you can't release. And so it's just really honestly pinpointing. It seems so simple, but it actually isn't for a lot of people, because we're used to being the strong ones and holding it together and in control. But now when you sit in Tasha's hot seat, so to speak, it's like, okay, no, we're going to get to the root, because I feel like the new era of leadership are leaders who are it's a difference between a good leader and a great leader. And the people that I'm graced and blessed to impact, I want them to be seen as great leaders, and their platform built on a foundation of wholeness. And so the leaders that I've actually been able to work with have really transformed the way they step into their leadership and business roles as an entrepreneur, and it's made them a better human. Like, you're human first. I don't care what your title is. And we have to separate our title from who we are, because once that title, God forbid, that title is no longer there. God forbid that you don't have the money or the influence you had. Who are you without all of those things? And those are the people. That is the foundational work that I want to do. And so I don't want to be seen in the leadership space as I'm not the choice, I'm the decision. I'm the decision you make when you realize that leadership built on wholeness, being anchored, healthy resilience, and wealth beyond money is what's going to set you apart from that good leader.
Tasha, really quickly, what's the best way that people can get a hold of you?
Absolutely. Email address is tashaO@IamTashaO.com. And my website is simply TashaO.com. Pretty simple to remember. And then they can follow me on LinkedIn by my full name, Tasha Odunuyi, Nuyi, and I'm also on Instagram as well. But I also would love to let you know that I just started my Leaders Birthing Room podcast, which is on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and Podbean, and they can definitely listen to me there, because I am introducing a different type of leadership conversation. And we didn't even scratch the surface here, but I'm really breaking down a lot of these relatable, everyday things that we deal with, and just creating space for a leader to be human. So I would definitely love a lesson.
Well, Tasha, thank you so much for your time today. We really do appreciate it, and hope you have a wonderful day. Okay.
I thank you.